Burbex.
I gotta get nice and clean after a long day at the factory. Hi, welcome back to Burbex. Oh, Brin's Urban Exploration. Today, yet again, we're back on Chongming Island and we are exploring this huge power station. Yes, a coal-fired power station. There's all kinds of interesting things here, like these awesome control panels. We're gonna go and try and sneak into the heart of this plant so that we can get to the two chimneys, the two towers. Awesome. Don't forget, if you love urban exploration with a China twist, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to ding, ding, ding that bell for great new videos from Burbex, Brin's Urban Exploration, every week. Let's go. This power station has been abandoned since 2011, and it would have been providing power to the whole of the surrounding area on Chongming Island and possibly also in Shanghai. Even though it's been abandoned since 2011, it has a much older feeling to it. It's kind of a very 1980s, maybe even 1970s vibe to it. And that's because production of energy was quite backward until quite recently in China. But it does give us this look back into this kind of communist industrial look. And I know a lot of you are big fans of that. Let's go take a look around this awesome factory. Well, that doesn't work. Oh, looks like a laboratory. There's all kinds of strange machines in here. Some nice control panels in here. This one says like DDZ. This one's got like those old valve LEDs on it. Nice green color. This is super old school. Even though a lot of this looks like it's from the 1950s or 1960s in America, this probably would have been like 1970s or 1980s technology in China. The other strange thing is we always seem to find shoes in these places, which makes me wonder, why did people come in here, take off their shoes? Are they walking around shoeless? So this is actually a power plant and it's connected by all these bridges and walkways. We want to go that way to try and get towards the two massive chimneys. Maybe we'll be able to climb up on those. In the meantime, we're going to take a look around this plant area, which is rusty and nostalgic and authentic all at the same time. It's amazing here. Let's go look around. Here on the wall, it says Gao Gao Xing Xing Shangban, Ping Ping An An Huai Jia, which means happily, happily go to work, peacefully, peacefully go home. That's basically just another way to say happily come to work and be careful you don't die. Might be good advice for us too. Oh wow, look at this sign. That's a really old school sign. Look at this one. What you got to remember about these places is that they were often connected to, huge complexes of dormitories. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands of workers would be working here. Their families would be around the site as well. So there's a lot of emphasis on, working safely and returning home safely. This one says, 搞好安全生产保障家庭幸福. Pay attention to safe production and then you'll be able to return home safely. I think it basically means wear a hard hat, but I love this sign, it's amazing. This area looks a bit more modern, but I don't think we can get into here. No, that's too tight even for my skills. There's a dead bird here, right? Look at the features of it. It's got long tail feathers like that. And look at these talons. That's a bird of prey, I think. Around here there are actually falcons and hawks in Shanghai. This might be one of them, although they're quite rare. Something interesting here is that a lot of the components, a lot of the parts weren't actually made in China. China didn't really have those capabilities till the late 80s and the early 90s, so a lot of these products would have been made abroad. You can see this one's got to close or reset. I have no idea what this machine is. It looks like some kind of giant furnace. But again, you can see it's been made abroad. Everywhere it says Worthington, which I'm assuming is in either America or England. Big, beautiful, blast furnace-y thing. Love it. Very steampunk. This says it's the 400 volts third breaker room. It's too dark to go in there. Hey, the light's still turned on. The odd thing in here is that the electricity is still turned on. There's like this buzzing in the background. More shoes. Wow, look at this old school torch. I bet a lot of you don't remember torches like this, but they had like big, chunky batteries in them. These are the big, chunky batteries they used to use in China. It's called white elephant, which always makes me laugh because white elephant means like junk in English, isn't it? Holy shit, look at this room. When we look at this office, we can tell it's not been abandoned for long because the AC, the air conditioner, is still here. But look at all the stuff they left behind. There's some bank cards that somebody left behind. Even like an ID. Lots of IDs. I just found this handbook as well. It's called the 实用物件手册, which means like the practical hardware guidebook. You can see there's lots of practical hardware on the front of it. It's funny, I keep running into these radios recently as well. Maybe I should start like an online shop for these radios. Oh, and look at that. I think that mask would definitely protect me from coronavirus. Can you see the pigeon up there? One of the amazing things about Chongming Island is that there's so much wildlife here. Oh, look at all these desks. So I think this place has been closed since about 2011, but if you were to look around it, you might get the feeling that it's much older. You know, you're like this old 1980s sharp television. I think that's because, you know, like a lot of these power plants were actually quite backward. In Chinese, that would be luo hou, like backward. They weren't really that developed. Now they're catching up much faster. But these desks are awesome. I can imagine people working at these desks. Well, these look like they're all voltmeters. These really old school headphones. Look at that.
It wasn't this building, it was the next one.
Yeah. What's in that box?
Don't come off this machine thing.
Looks like one of those ones they use for lobotomies. Last time this was tested was 2009. Oh, and look, here's some kind of computer game. That's the kernel from KFC. Looks like some kind of Tetris game. Interestingly, in China, they had to add an apron to the colonel so that Chinese people actually knew it was the chef. They couldn't actually figure out who he was. But Chinese people love KFC. It's more popular than McDonald's here. Makes me think of Terminator 2 being in this factory, where the Terminator is chasing John Connor through the factory. Wow. It's quite beautiful in this room. You can see all these pressure clocks on the wall right here. This is such an enormous space. Oh, look at this, these booths. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's fireworks going off right now. Today is a lucky day in China, which means that lots of people will be getting married today. Yesterday was one of the days where they actually make offerings to their ancestors by burning paper money or other offerings like in the streets. So there were lots of funeral money around on the street yesterday. I think today's going to be a lucky day there. I feel it. We're just walking along the rails now, which would carry this thing across. Gives us a magnificent view of the place. It's a bit of a crack down there, but nothing I can't handle. It's a really beautiful room, especially in this light. Let's see if we can make it to the end. Senzuri is here with me again today, but he doesn't like heights, so I don't think he's coming up. This is actually a pretty long walkway. If you look out the window, you can see the river just over there. It's probably only 20 or 30 meters away. Might be a shipyard there. You might remember my video from a few weeks ago where I went exploring an abandoned shipyard and we crept inside the cranes together. That was a great video. I'll put a link for it in the top right hand corner. I'm not sure whether to keep going or to go back right now. I think I'm in the middle point. The point of no return. We're just coming into the control room now. Whoa. Look at all these control panels. And they're all in that classic communist green color. It's like nuclear fallout or something. All of these switches probably control different parts of the factory, and that would give them control over this whole area's electric supply. Some of you might not recognize this, but this is the remains of a bull mouse. There would have been a bull just there. It's amazing to think how much power coursed through this power station and how much control would have come from this small room, and now it's just all left to decay. Senzuri is very excited about this place. He's comparing it to the machine that goes bing in Monty Python, the meaning of life.
Wonderful what we can do nowadays. Ah, I see you have the machine that goes bing!
Bing! One of the things I particularly enjoy about exploring industrial complexes like this in China is that they have this kind of lived-in feel. Hundreds and even thousands of workers would have been working and also living here at the same time. There's dormitories on the other side of the complex, and a lot of the time it feels like people have just dropped their stuff and left quite recently, and then it's just all got covered up in dust. It's a very lonely feeling, but at the same time quite reassuring that everything's going to be here, even if humans aren't. This one says that you have to wear a mask. It makes you look a bit like a predator though. It's a beautiful view of the river from up here. And actually, you can see the ferry over there as well. And there's one of the towers. It looks like there's a bird's nest. There's a bird's nest about halfway up. Imagine if you're trying to climb that and like some bird came along and said, "Fuck off," and pecked you in the face. The other one of these ventilation systems looked like it was about to collapse, but this one's a little bit healthier. It's amazing. It's such a beautiful day and we've got such a beautiful contrast, and I guess if you're a steampunk fan, this is going to be just the place for you. This place is insane. It's overgrown, it's nostalgic, it's beautiful, it's got everything an urban explorer like me or you could look for. Happy today. We're coming up on the second tower. Although I have to say, it doesn't look very straight. It's kind of got a wiggly bit in the middle of it. I don't think there's any way to climb to the top of that. You might remember that I used to live in the north of China. That's more like the Rust Belt because there's a lot of heavy industry there which has gone bust. So I used to explore a lot of factories up there. Even though this factory is in a different location by a river, it's still kind of got that same Chinese nostalgia feeling. This looks like a warning against coronavirus, but actually it's about particulate matter. Look at this really long spade. What did they use that for? Look at this really long spade. It must be 3 or 4 meters long, 11 or 12 feet long. I wonder what they used that for. You can see the belts on either side. They would be for moving coal around the power station. Also sorting it. These have got very tiny steps. You have to take little Chinese steps. I don't know what all these wheels are for. Well, this doorway takes us right into the base of the tower. That's some very rusty water. It's a shame it doesn't open up to the top though. Whoa, look at all these ropes. It's like some kind of bondage storage room. Very BDSM. It's like BDSM. I think that one of the difficulties that I experience as an urban explorer bringing you stories on YouTube is that even though I can bring you to really fascinating places like this, often they're kind of dead. To get the story into it, you kind of have to go around and look for the human element, kind of the human narrative behind these places. This place is full of wonderful machines and it's kind of got this really old school feel, but there's not many offices here. That's what we need to go looking for. Hopefully we can find some. Interestingly, this place backs right onto a bus station. See the buses out there. I mentioned earlier in the video how the north of China is much more industrial than the south, and you can see that this has been made in Shenyang, which is a big dirty city in the north of China. Interestingly, Shenyang has the highest divorce rate in the whole of China, probably because the girls from Liaoning province are completely batshit crazy. We're in the shower rooms right now. Can you imagine all the workers showering together? It's amazing to think that there might be like 20 or 30 guys all taking a shower in here at the same time. But remember, don't drop the soap. I gotta get nice and clean after a long day at the factory. Oh, so clean. Don't bend over in the shower though. Oh. It interests me watching you getting into these places. Be careful of the broken glass.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. It's like a day planner from 2003.
It's nice.
A vintage Chinese calculator. I think some people collect these. Oh, wow. There's loads of science equipment in here. Look at all these little beakers. It's a pestle and mortar, grinding things up. If you're into marijuana, you might use that. This thing looks like a bong. It's like all these little beads. I wonder what they use that for. These are the kind of rooms that I love the best. Full of drawers stuffed with stuff. Stuffed with stuff. Yeah. Whoa! There's some kind of oven thing in here. I think it's for sterilizing equipment. There's some equipment that's been sterilized already. Look at these forceps. These forceps look like the ones in Alien, where they discover the alien and they're like probing around in it, trying to, you know, like figure out what's inside the face hugger. What's surprising in these places is we often find boxes like this. To you, that might look like a very 60s design, or maybe even early 70s, but this is designs from the late 80s and 90s in China. So you can see even in design terms, they were still quite backward. I think they were giving a lot of enemas at this place. There's like this box at the top here. Hey. Huh. Are these thermometers? That's a thermometer. Look at that. That's beautiful. Vintage things like this you could probably take to a market, I don't know, Camden Market, Portobello Road in London, and sell this as vintage stuff. And in China, vintage is not really recognized as being something of value. Oh look, it says 110 kilovolts. What's that? Like 110,000 volts. That'll probably kill you, right? Oi. Pretty amazing up here to think of all the power that coursed through these coils, through these pylons. If this was all live, it could easily kill me. You'd be able to hear it humming and thrumming and throbbing. The air would be electric. Now, like everything else around here, it's completely dead. Dead as a doornail. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this electric episode of Burbex, Brin's Urban Exploration. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And when you subscribe, ding, ding, ding that subscription bell for great new videos from Burbex, Brin's Urban Exploration every week. Let's go. Oh,